Let me just put it this way. If you are working for someone, you will never generate wealth. Your job is to generate wealth for that someone. So if you were going to make a bet, I would rather bet on myself than bet on somebody else hoping that I will have a job.
Hi, I'm Andre Chandra, founder and CEO of Propelo Media. Leaders rise up in challenging times. In today's Ask an Expert series, we're joined by Piyush Patel. Piyush started as a school teacher, but his passion and business spirit led him to start Digital Tutors, a digital animation training company for the film and gaming industries. After turning $54 into a multi-million dollar exit, Piyush is now an author, speaker, and angel investor into companies that have great people and great culture. Let's hear it from him.
Piyush Patel, thank you for joining us. It's great to see you. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on your show.
All right. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Well, currently I own a small winery in Napa and partners in a brewery in Oklahoma City. So those things are the fun things. The things that get me up in the morning and get me super excited are a lot of my investments that I have in entrepreneurs. Prior to that, I was a sixth grade science teacher, turned animator, we built an amazing platform that trains people who make movies and video games,
Mhm.
and had that exit in 2014, and now on to helping other entrepreneurs.
All right. All right. Well, you're being modest because you also wrote this book
I
called
did.
Lead Your Tribe, Love Your Work. I read it, and you have a very fascinating journey. Can you share us a little bit of your story there, your journey?
Oh my gosh. Being a sixth grade science teacher, it's really hard to raise a family. And with all the COVID stuff going on and all the parents who are having to take care of their kids and school them at home and go to work, I think they're learning really quickly that being a teacher is a really hard job and it doesn't pay well. So hopefully in the future we can change that. But I loved movies and video games. I'm a Star Wars kid. That was my generation,
Right.
and I just loved them. I just wanted to be part of that industry. And so when I found a chance to get into it, I realized it is really hard to be in the video game industry. Nobody will teach you. It was just this
Hmm.
old school apprentice model. And I thought, I think I can disrupt this. I think I can build something that would disrupt it. And we did. We ended up having a crazy run at it. The thing I want your audience to hear is right now we're in this world that you can't be an entrepreneur unless you raise a certain amount of money.
Hmm.
And being an entrepreneur means you have to have a pitch deck and you have to just constantly be in the raising money. I built my company with $54.
Hmm.
No investors, no debt. And we grew it to 10 million in revenue at about 65% EBITDA, and then sold it for 45 million in cash. So, it's one of those, you just put your head down and keep working, solve the customer's problem. I'm a big believer in the customer is the ultimate vote.
Right. Right. Great. Great. Now, I love the statement you made in the book. I love being in charge of my own destiny. So, given what's going on right now, when is the best time to start being in charge, career and business wise? Should
Yesterday.
we wait until the economy gets a little better so you have more backups, right? When things go sideways. So, what do you think of
Well,
that?
I hear this statement all the time that entrepreneurs are big risk takers. Let me just put it this way. If you are working for someone, you will never generate wealth. Your job is to generate wealth for that someone. So if you were going to make a bet, I would rather bet on myself than bet on somebody else hoping that I will have a job. And so I am entrepreneurism first, right? Now, does that mean you're going to be successful? I don't know. That's your journey, right? Um, and I think what ends up happening is people want to create something for themselves without really thinking about the customer that's going to pay them.
Mhm.
And that's where you end up with, well, I built this, then I had to pivot, and then I had to pivot again, and I had to pivot again, because even the initial thing was customers don't want it. And so I'm a huge, huge believer in iterate fast, right? Make quick decisions. and constantly communicate with your customer. If your customer is willing to pay you more, you're on the right track. You're providing services they want.
Right, right. Okay. And as they start in this journey, um, usually taking the first few steps are the hardest, getting your first few customers, making your first few sales. What's your best advice to those in the audience about what they need to do first?
So if you have a day job, don't quit your day job, right?
Mm.
I ran my company for almost a year, and here was my schedule. I would get up at 6 in the morning. I would teach class. I taught, you're just wait for this. I taught 42 credit hours per semester. Now just
Wow.
pause for a second, right?
Right.
So what that meant was my students would start at 8 in the morning. They would go till 5 in the afternoon. They would have a half-hour lunch, and we never took a holiday. So we never took Thanksgiving, we never took Easter, no spring break. But these students would graduate in one semester because they would do all those 42 core hours in one semester, and I'd get them production ready. So I ran that hustle, for years. I taught all these classes all day, every day, 6 days a week. But then at night, get home, eat dinner. I would work on my business till about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then get up again at 6 and do it again. And all day Sunday, I would work on my business. So, I mean, that's part of the hustle, right? When nobody will give you any money as a seed money, that doesn't mean you just give up. You just keep going. You find another way.
Mm.
So what I would do is if your listeners are contemplating, like, I really want to jump this ship, and I wouldn't quit your day job, right? Like you said, if you have an income stream, keep that income stream. And for us, it was when the business outgrew what I was earning. That's when I knew this is what I want to do full time.
When you can start taking salary out of the business to support you and your family.
That's right.
Got it.
And once that tips, it's time to go.
Got it. Got it. Now, let's talk about something that's really on everyone's mind these days. After the outbreak, what's the biggest decision that you've made personally and business-wise?
Wow. I think the thing that weighs on every entrepreneur's mind, including mine, is what do you do with all the staff, right? How long will this shutdown be? Will it just be for a month or two? Will it be for a year? And what do you do with all the folks that work for you that rely on you for income? So that's really been what's weighed really heavy on my mind, is how do you take care of these people who take care of you?
Right.
And really what we've done is we have just focused on, okay, I mean, a lot of us work from home anyway. So for us, it's just business as usual. It's how do we control this destiny and not let that control us, right? How do we be in charge of it? And so how do we change the way we work? How do we solve the customer's problem differently? The brewery is a great example, right? We instantly reconfigured. We have a to-go window that all of a sudden you can do walk-up orders. We marked the sidewalk. I mean, we did that months ago. And so we've had great months of business when the rest of the breweries are all shut down and just trying to figure out what to do and when they can do it.
Right. Got it. Well, you mentioned something profound. You need to take care of the people who takes care of you. So it's not a one-way street. It's really in an environment where you need to propel your business, you grow the business, and you have an army of people, loyal people who can help you get to that finish point, to that goal.
That's right. I mean, I'm a big believer in we have to listen to the customer because the customer is what's paying the bills. But as the leader of the organization, I really can't take care of my customer. I mean, they're pretty far removed, especially in any size of organization that gets beyond, 10 people. We have 42 full-time and 500 contractors. So I'm pretty far removed from the customer because all these other people are helping the customer. So my primary job is to take care of the employees, right? And if I take care of my employees, they can take care of my customer.
Right.
If
Got
my
it.
employees aren't happy, I pretty much can guarantee my customers aren't happy. And if I
Mm,
circumvent that process, it'll only help me for the ones that I can actually physically go and solve and touch. But all the ones, I had 1.5 million customers in my system. So at 1.5 million people, I can't go figure out what's going on with everybody.
right, right. Yeah,
I've got to empower the people to do that for me.
got it. Now, earlier you mentioned that especially these days, entrepreneurs can't really start a business. Well, the handicap is against them if they don't have any investors. And yet you started your business with no debt, no investment. Um, what's the best way for them to kind of pursue their ideas, pursue this business idea of theirs? Um, especially in today's investment environment. I hope you have your ear to the ground in terms of, are people still investing in entrepreneurs and businesses? How about banks and things like that?
Yeah, so angels like me are constantly investing. I mean, that's
Mm,
just part. There's a high mortality rate in startups, and that's just the nature of the game, right? Out of
right.
100, 90 are probably going to die, and out of the 10 that are left, one may be a superstar. So if I only make 10 bets, the odds are against me. I need to go make 100 bets, right? And so, yeah, my community of friends, we are looking at deals every day, and I look at these virtually, so it doesn't, it's business as usual for us.
Hmm.
The challenge
Hmm.
becomes, I want to build this product, but oh my gosh, I'm going to need 100 people to build the product. Well, how do you know if any customer even wants that? And the same device that we're having this phone call with, I can spin up a business, right? So my ability to get started is so low. And there are so many tools out there to learn how to code, how to program, how to spin up a web environment, right? That and the fact that we're such a global community, you can find workers pretty much anywhere and everywhere that can help you get this thing put together without a lot of money. And so I think what ends up happening is there is this fantasy and illusion that, if I just go raise $1 million, well, I'll have my, needs met, and I can hire 50 people, and I can get this beautiful office, and I
Hmm.
can live out that fantasy of what being an entrepreneur means, right? Because what most people are seeing is the finish line. They're seeing these beautiful offices from these companies, and they don't realize, oh, wait a minute, a lot of these folks started in their garage, in their spare
Right,
bedroom, and at the kitchen table in
right,
the middle of the night. That's where the magic happened.
right, right. And like you shared, that's your journey too. You started on nights and weekends, and I totally agree with you. Technically speaking, it's easier now more than ever to start a business and pursue these ideas of yours. The tools are more available now. Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, gone are the days where, to really be successful in business, you had to build a factory, right?
right,
And that's how it was done. And we still kind of have that mentality of, well, I have to build a factory of people. And that's not really the case. I mean, you don't have to have a huge capital investment of equipment. Everybody's holding it right there in their
right,
hands, right? And you don't have to go somewhere, and you don't have to. I don't have to be in the valley, right, to be able to employ somebody from Silicon Valley.
right. So would you say that, especially in today's business, it's more about building teams rather than building factories or equipment or all of these capital expenditures?
That's right. And I think this outbreak has shown. I deal with so many companies who are like, we just can't work from home. We need to be together. And
Right.
I go, no, you're just in that old school mentality of
Totally.
butts and seats
Yeah.
equals productivity. And I'm like, that doesn't mean. And here's what I hear. The first thing I hear is, well, how do I know if they're getting stuff done? I was like, how do you know they're getting stuff done at the office? Right?
True.
Like, you really have to shift your mentality to a results oriented workplace, right? Or results
Row.
only workplace, row.
Yes.
If you, and listen, we live in a row world, right? When you order a pizza, you don't want to be like, hey, I'd like to have a pepperoni pizza. And they go, oh, well, great. Well, listen, if Mike makes it, it's going to be $50 because he burns half of them. But if I make it, it'll be $12. You don't want to buy that pizza,
Right.
right? $12 or $50. But we do that with employees all the time, right? In that, hell, I didn't understand the needs. Let me do it again, but you got to pay me to do it again. So we used EOS, scaling up EOS. Any of those systems are great. And we were an agile shop, and we implemented agile through everything, through marketing, because we wanted to be able to predict what do these things cost us, and then determine, yeah, that's a good investment of our money, right? We only have a certain amount of time, and we only have a certain amount of money. What's the best way to spend it?
Well, you are very forward thinking. You have, I think I can sense that you can see ahead. So after this whole pandemic is over, and I truly believe that there's light at the end of the tunnel, how do you kind of foresee what the new normal will look like?
It'll be different for a while, and this is just a total hypothesis, right? It'll be different for about a year and a half, but we are humans, right? If we could learn from our past, we would not have wars, right? If we could learn from our past, we would not be in this situation. We forget quickly, right? We are humans, we are consumers, we want to buy and have comfort. So at some point, we will start to wane on the idea of, look, everybody knows they should wash their hands, right? But all of a sudden, everybody's remembered, oh gosh, I do need to wash my hands for 20 seconds. That was 3 months ago. If you look today, people have already started slack off on, wait a minute, was that really 20 seconds? Did you really scrub your hands right?
Right.
That's because we're humans and we want the least path of resistance, right? So I think at some point we will all be back to 100% quote normal. But what will the restaurants look like, right? I own a number of restaurants. So the whole model is built off of flipping the tables, having a certain amount of covers every night. Well, if I have to remove half the number of tables to help everybody feel comfortable, that's one challenge. But how would you like to eat food served by somebody that's all gloved up and masked up? Like subconsciously, I look at that and go, I don't know if I should eat this. I don't know if you don't want to look at it and touch it. Why should I eat it? So I think that's going to take time for people to get back to normal again. So we've pivoted on takeout. We've pivoted on, hey, instead of having this restaurant, we're going to turn it into a bakery, and then it's all to go. So I think you're going to just see a little bit more of that.
Gotcha. Now, in terms of post-COVID comeback strategies, as an entrepreneur, as an investor, what signals are you looking for, and what will you do first?
I am looking for organizations who are not going to abandon the things that they learned in this process. So a great example is the contactless, drop it off in your car, you drive off delivery system. I can't tell you, Oklahoma, I live in Oklahoma primarily, we have started to open things back up again. And guess what a lot of these folks have done? They've just abandoned that whole process and say, no, you walk in, go through the old school way of walk in, give me your name, let me go find your bag, let me hand it to you. And all I can think of is, oh my gosh, you guys missed this window of creating an amazing efficiency and uniqueness, right? So I'm telling people the tools and techniques and the ways you've had to adapt during this pandemic, keep them because they're going to give you a strategic advantage. If you allowed everybody to work from home and you guys were efficient and worked hard, great. Why are you dying to get back in the office? Right? Let's look at a hybrid. How do we, do team building things together, have big, meetings together, but then let people go back to work. And if they don't work a 9 to 5 regular schedule, who cares? Are they getting stuff done? If they're getting stuff done, let them have their afternoon to watch Netflix. I don't care, right?
Right.
If anything, we want to attract people who are getting stuff done and not there all hours of the day, because butts and seats doesn't really mean efficiency, right? If anything, I would say if you're the person that never leaves the office because you're always late and getting stuff done, maybe you're not the most efficient person.
Right. And especially these days, it's more socially acceptable to make big changes, because people understand. And I think that's what you meant by you're missing this window of opportunity to re-strategize and kind of redo some of these processes and norms that have
Absolutely.
been kicked in.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a friend of mine who owns a restaurant, and, for a while, if you ordered a family meal, they would include, 2, 3 rolls of toilet paper. And I was like, okay, kind of gimmicky, but think about that, how do we move that forward, right? How do we instead say, hey, instead of just this plasticware, we're gonna send home a set of nice silverware, and that way, if you keep coming back, you'll have a whole set after 12 or whatever it is, right? I think we have to think about how do we surprise and delight and create convenience. Because again, I think we will go back to normal because we want convenience, we want comfort. So as a business, how do we provide that comfort? And if anything, you've seen the amount of content we can consume. If you're not doing content-based marketing, you are missing the window, right?
Right.
And that's really how we did it. Our marketing budget on 10 million in revenue was $30,000 a year. That's all we spent on marketing. The rest, we did 2 blog articles a day, a podcast every other day. Like, we pump the industry full of content, and that's what attracted our customer base.
Got it. That's a lot of content that you're generating in every week.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is we are pulled in a million different directions of just life, right? Especially if you have kids and 2 incomes, and that means you're playing this game all day. All I want is your 15 minutes. If I can just get 15 minutes of your morning, that's it, right? I'm top of mind. I got you thinking about me for 15 minutes. And so we would write articles and have podcasts that were, very short. So you could just get on, consume 15 minutes of content, and go about your day.
Right, right.
And so it doesn't matter if you own, a dog care business. Like we have a little dog, and the groomer hasn't released any content in this window. And I'm thinking, what a missed opportunity, right? Like, I would do things like, hey, how to give your dog a bath. Not because it's going to take away from my business. It's going to show you how hard and how much it sucks, right?
Yes, if at
Make
all.
you want me more,
Right. Yes.
Or
Yes.
how to have fun with your pets when you're, cooped up and they can't go play out, with the other dogs.
Correct.
Things like
Yeah.
that. Who is doing it? The ones that are going to be successful after this all ends, because now they've got the top of mind head share.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's the Jedi mind trick of spilling the beans, your trade secrets. It really shows more how hard it is, and that they should use you instead. Got it.
In reality, there are no trade secrets. I mean, come on, this. You're a business owner. I mean, there's no trade secrets, right? It's just a modified way of doing anything. Really, what you're buying is the team that can execute.
Right.
There's a pizza place, and everywhere, all over the world, there are pizza places, but there are some that stand out as like, these are amazing pizza. It's still pizza. It's just executed by a different team. And so, like, we'll go right back to that very first comment. It's all about building the team.
Right. Got it. Well, Piyush, is there anything that I haven't asked that you'd like to share?
Oh my gosh, how are you going to handle it when all of this is done? Let's make it a conversation. What's kind of what's the markers you're looking for to get back into the economy and really start pumping?
Well, we're a marketing business, so we have a subscription model, but also project based. In terms of people subscribing and the projects that they do on a recurring basis. Everyone's still on board. It's they're committed to kind of continue that marketing process. However, no one is really talking about launching new projects. So everyone is kind of in this wait and see mode. And since a lot of our clients are B2C, right? So they're looking at their consumer base, their audience. I think that the key figure that they're looking at is unemployment and being able to spend. So for us, that's a key thing that our clients are looking at, and therefore we're looking at too.
Yeah, yeah, you have to. You know, I'm involved with a couple of marketing companies, and if any of your listeners are listening, the best money spent is in marketing right now, right?
Right.
I mean, ad buys are cheap. You know, they've never been this cheap. So the time you can get in front of your audience, your Google buys have never been this cheap, right? Because everybody is scared and frozen. That creates opportunity for those who are brave, right? I think if the message is spot on and point right in front of that customer, look, even with unemployment, people are not going to cancel their cell phones. So that becomes a necessity, right? And food is going to become a necessity. And I'll be honest with you, so is a little bit of escape, right? That one Starbucks cup to help you feel like it's a little
Right.
normal is part of making it through. So, you know, we should know better, right? We should be like, no, I'll just make my own cup of coffee, or I'll run to McDonald's and get a cup of coffee. But we, again, look for this comfort and this path of least resistance. And part of that is, gosh, I know it's $4 for a cup of coffee, but I really want to feel normal today, and I'll buy that $4 cup of coffee.
Right.
So as humans, I think we do crazy, stupid things that don't make sense. But it is a marketer's dream right now, because you can really help your clients fulfill their goals, because if they can increase their sales, they're going to help their employees, which in turn help them spend money, which hires servers. And right, it's all a big web, and we all need to do our part.
Correct. Yes. It's this counter-cyclical nature of things. Warren Buffett
Totally.
likes to say, buy low, sell high. However, when the opportunity is right in front of you, psychologically, it's just very difficult, because then you can ask yourself and doubt yourself and go, well, is now the low point, or is it going to go even lower? What if I spend and it doesn't go up? So there's always that psychological barrier to doing principles that actually sound very simple but very difficult to
Definitely.
actually jump onto, right?
Yeah, I think the human emotion really, it works against us, right? The computer would do it all day long.
Right, right. All right. Let me ask again. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? This has been very enlightening.
Well, cool. Yeah. Your listeners can reach me on the web. It's patelokc.com.
Mm-hmm.
And my book's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and it's an audio book as well. So hopefully it'll help other entrepreneurs and leaders think about how to lead their team differently to create an outcome that is not the norm, right? It's kind of a unique and different outcome.
Right, right. All right. Well, Piyush, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you spending the time with me. The best of luck to you and your business. Like I said, I see a light at the end of this tunnel. So hopefully everything goes back to normal. But as you said, we should implement these things and use this moment to implement some big changes while it is more socially acceptable.
That's right.
All right. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you for having me on.
All right.
Uh-huh.